The anime begins by showing a scene at a school where an entire class is suddenly transported to another world. One of the students there reincarnates as a spider named Komoko. At that moment, Komoko sees other spiders devouring each other. It turns out that the mother of these spiders is also eating her own children, before Komoko decides to escape from that place. While there, Komoko hears a voice from the system, so she uses her skill points to purchase the appraisal skill. However, since it is still at level 1, the appraisal skill isn't very useful. After walking for a while, Komoko finds traces of humans. Upon following them, Komoko discovers a dead spider. From this, Komoko realizes that if she encounters humans, she will likely be killed as well. Therefore, Komoko decides to build a home using her spider silk. However, after finishing her home, Komoko feels weak because she hasn't eaten anything. As a result, Komoko is forced to eat the spider corpse that was there. Unexpectedly, after eating it, Komoko gains the title of Kin Eater and also acquires the taboo and dark magic skills. Komoko tries to use dark magic, but nothing happens. At the same time, the trap that Komoko set manages to capture a frog, which immediately sprays poison at Komoko, injuring her. Fortunately, Komoko manages to defeat the frog by biting it. Meanwhile, the other students from Komoko's class also reincarnate into this world as various beings. Some become princes, like Yamada Shusuke, while others, like Oshima, who was originally male, transform into females. Some even transform into a dragon, like Shinohara Mirai. Their teacher, Okachan, also reincarnates as an elf. They also meet other students, including Natsume and Heiseibe. Back to Komoko, who has successfully killed another frog and leveled up to level 2. With this level increase, some of her magic also levels up, and even the wounds on her body are fully healed. Unexpectedly, the web trap that Komoko made manages to trap a human. However, the human escapes by burning her web-based home, but the human leaves behind an egg. Because of this incident, Komoko decides to renovate her home, and feeling hungry, she plans to eat the egg left by the human. But it turns out that the egg is very hard and cannot be broken by Komoko. At that moment, her appraisal skill also levels up to level 2, and by using appraisal, it is revealed that the egg is an earth dragon egg. Shortly after, more humans appear and burn Komoko's home again. Feeling unsafe staying there, Komoko decides to flee. Before finding a new home, Komoko decides to hunt some monsters to level up. During her hunt, Komoko encounters a giant snake. Fortunately, using her silk and speed, Komoko manages to keep up with the snake's movements. Finally, Komoko defeats the snake with her poisonous bite. After defeating the snake, Komoko reaches level 10 and can evolve. Therefore, she chooses to evolve into a small tractate, and she immediately falls asleep after making the choice. Soon after, Komoko wakes up with her body having successfully evolved, but unfortunately, her level resets to level 1, and her stamina is completely drained. Because of this, Komoko quickly eats the snake she previously hunted. Afterward, Komoko buys the thread control skill and detection skill using her skill points. However, upon trying it out, the detection skill causes Komoko to experience a severe headache, though the thread control skill works well. Shortly after, Komoko is chased by more humans, but she manages to use some monsters in the area to block the humans. Meanwhile, Shun and the others are practicing magic, where they are training to shoot water balls. However, Natsume shows off his ability by shooting fire magic instead. Because of this, their instructor scolds him. After this incident, an earth dragon suddenly attacks them. Seeing this, their instructor tries to hold off the attack, but unfortunately, the instructor is killed from the attack. Natsume then tries to attack the dragon using his fire magic, but none of his attacks have any effect on the dragon. Shun and the others then decide to work together to fight the dragon. However, Natsume continues to attack the dragon on his own, which puts their friends in danger. Because of this, Shun stops Natsume using his magic. After that, Oshima bites the dragon, and in this situation, Shun successfully kills the earth dragon. After the fight, Faye gains the title of Kin Eater, meaning that the earth dragon was her parent. On the other hand, Komoko encounters the earth dragon Alba, a very powerful monster. Fortunately, she immediately uses her skills to hide from the dragon. After that, Komoko hunts some monsters and earns the title of Poison Master. With this title, She also gains the poison synthesis skill and poison magic. Additionally, with poison synthesis, Komoko can use magic points to create poison. Afterward, Komoko continues her hunt and successfully kills a monkey. However, before dying, the monkey lets out a loud scream that summons a group of other monkeys who attack Komoko. Realizing the danger, Komoko uses her poison synthesis to kill the monkeys. Unfortunately, Komoko runs out of magic points, and one of the monkeys also manages to break her leg. Luckily, she manages to kill the monkey, which also levels her up. Once her stamina and magic points return, Komoko throws rocks at the attacking monkeys with her strings. However, there are also 3 advanced monkeys, and Komoko manages to defeat 2 of them using poison synthesis. But the 3rd monkey manages to eat part of Komoko's body before she kills it and levels up. After killing the remaining monkeys, Komoko levels up to level 10, allowing her to evolve again. But before evolving, Komoko decides to climb the stairs to the middle floor of the Elro labyrinth, only to find that the floor is filled with magma, causing her silk to burn. Because of this, Komoko returns to the lower floor. After finding a safe place, Komoko chooses to evolve into a small poison pterodactyl and purchases the pride skill using her skill points. The effect of the pride skill raises her taboo level to 4. However, the good news is that Komoko gains several new skills, and her stats also increase significantly. On the other hand, after defeating the Earth Dragon, Faye also manages to evolve, and Shun's class becomes the center of attention for other students. However, Natsume becomes increasingly jealous of Shun. At the same time, Heisei approaches Shun and asks him to inform her if he encounters someone with the taboo skill. According to Heisei, no one should possess a skill that the goddess has deemed as taboo. Therefore, they must kill anyone who has that skill. Back to Komoko, where she encounters the Earth Dragon Kagna. Because the dragon is too strong, Komoko decides to flee to the middle floor again. Shortly after, Komoko fights a seahorse and manages to deplete its magic points, causing the seahorse to leave the magma and attack her directly. Seizing an opportunity, Komoko defeats the seahorse but then encounters 2 catfish. Using poison synthesis, Komoko kills one of the catfish, but the other escapes. To regain her strength, Komoko decides to eat the catfish, discovering that its meat is very delicious. Meanwhile, Shun's older brother, the hero Julius, is seen heading to the Elro labyrinth. Unexpectedly, Julius and his companions manage to reach the middle floor. Back to Komoko, who faces a giant eel. Using her new skill, Prediction, Komoko can foresee the eel's attacks. Additionally, Komoko uses her energy boost skill to make her silk less flammable. With her poison synthesis skill, Komoko defeats the eel, but the eel manages to revive using the life exchange skill. Fortunately, Komoko quickly defeats the eel again, raising her level to 10. From there, Komoko chooses to evolve into Zoa ELE, which allows her to use the detection skill without getting a headache. Additionally, Komoko learns the parallel mind skill, which grants her an additional consciousness within herself. With this, during battles, her consciousness can control her body while Komoko herself focuses on gathering information. Meanwhile, after reaching the middle floor, Julius and the others encounter 3 greater pterodactyls and discover their target, the Nightmare Vestige. It doesn't take long for Julius's group to kill the 3 greater pterodactyls. Using the light field skill, Julius also severely injures the Nightmare Vestige. Strangely, the Nightmare Vestige seems frightened by something, and taking advantage of this, Julius successfully kills the monster with a holy light beam before they decide to leave the labyrinth. One day, Komoko acquires the skill Preserver, which allows her to unlock the Evil Eye skill that is actually divided into 8 types, and Komoko plans to obtain all of these skills. Since Komoko is currently a spider, it means she has 8 eyes that can utilize these skills. But first, Komoko decides to purchase the Cursed Evil Eye skill. After that, Komoko tests this scanning skill by fighting a frog monster. While battling using the Cursed Evil Eye skill, Komoko easily kills the frog monster. On the other hand, Oka-chan tells Shun that he should not excessively level up his skills, as she considers those skills to be very dangerous. Not long after, the students were gathered together, where they were divided into several groups and sent to the mountains. The purpose of this trip was to help them adjust to an environment filled with wild monsters. After the groups were assigned, Shun found himself in the same group as Hugo, who seemed displeased with him. Sometime later, they depart for the mountains and arrive at the campsite. After finishing setting up the tents, the students are allowed to explore the surrounding area. However, Hugo attacks Shun, and not only that, Hugo also intends to eliminate him and the other student. Using his skills, Hugo manages to corner Shun. Fortunately, Oka-chan arrives in time to stop Hugo and easily defeats him. After that, Oka-chan uses her skill to lower his status and even erase all of his skills. Back to Komoko, who successfully levels up her appraisal and detection skills to level 10. However, Komoko feels embarrassed because she didn't acquire any new skills. Until suddenly, she hears a voice from the system saying that Senior Administrator D has accepted her request, granting her a new skill called Wisdom. From this, Komoko realizes that something or someone has been watching her all this time. Although she now knows this, Komoko still can't do anything about it, so she decides to act as usual. Shortly afterward, Komoko begins practicing magic after her parallel mind skill also levels up. With this, Komoko now has an additional consciousness to handle magic-related matters. During her journey, Komoko encounters a high-level fire dragon that seems to have just finished a battle, as it has severe wounds. Seeing this, Komoko decides to fight the exhausted fire dragon. At that moment, Komoko fights with all her might. However, the fire dragon's power still far surpasses hers. The dragon even manages to evade her poison ball attacks. During the battle, Komoko's parallel mind skill levels up to level 4, allowing her to create an illusion of herself using the hallucination skill. With this, Komoko successfully poisons the dragon with her deadly toxin. But she doesn't stop there. Komoko also uses her Abyss level 1 skill called Hellgate. Unexpectedly, the dragon is still able to withstand all of these attacks. However, in the end, Komoko manages to defeat the fire dragon with a series of attacks, leveling up to 19. Because of this, Komoko purchases the Gravity Evil Eye and Paralyzing Evil Eye skills, giving her a total of 3 Evil Eye skills. While inspecting her skills, Komoko is suddenly approached by a man who teleports in. At that moment, Komoko doesn't understand the man's language until a smartphone appears in front of her. Seeing this, Administrator D immediately uses the smartphone to communicate. It turns out the man who approached Komoko is named Black, the leader of the Dragon Clan. Black comes to Komoko because he has just killed a dragon. At that moment, Administrator forbids Black from attacking Komoko, so he leaves the place. From that incident, it becomes clear that Administrator is the one who has been watching Komoko all this time. And it was also Administrator who granted Komoko the Wisdom skill. Administrator then reveals that she is an evil god, and afterward, Administrator ends the communication with Komoko. On the other hand, the Demon King and his subordinates are seen holding a meeting to prepare for war. One of the subordinates refuses to submit to the new Demon King, angering another subordinate. The two of them then fight, but the new Demon King easily stops them. This proves that the new Demon King has the capacity to lead, so they decide to continue the meeting to prepare for war. Meanwhile, Shun hears a voice from the system saying that he has received the title of hero, which means the previous hero, Shun's older brother, has passed away. Upon learning this, the king assumes that Julius died while fighting demons, or more precisely, while battling the Queen Teratect. Therefore, Shun is asked to leave the academy as he needs to prepare for the next hero's announcement to the people. Back to Komoko, who is visited by a group of humans led by Ronit. At that moment, she fights Ronit's group and easily defeats them all. However, Ronit manages to escape using teleportation magic, while Komoko successfully levels up to 20. Because of this, Komoko can evolve into Insane, which causes her taboo skill to instantly level up to 10. With that, Komoko gains all the information about that world, one piece of which is that if nothing changes in the world, it will soon be destroyed. From this, Komoko becomes determined to prevent the world's destruction and realizes she must become much stronger. The next target she must defeat is the Earth Dragon Araba. Before that, Komoko decides to observe Araba's strength first. At that moment, Komoko sees a very powerful serpent monster fighting against the Earth Dragon Araba, and unexpectedly, Araba easily defeats the extremely strong serpent. On the other hand, Shun is seen training hard every day so that he can properly succeed Julius. Additionally, Shun also forms a contract with Faye so that he can summon her whenever needed. However, after forming the contract, Faye suddenly turns into an egg, seemingly entering the stage of evolution. One night, Shun meets a man named Hyrance, who turns out to be the only survivor of the hero's party. At that moment, Reincarnates recounts the true events that led to Julius's death. At that time, the hero's party was wiped out by a woman dressed entirely in white, who was able to defeat their group with ease. Fortunately, before the battle, Julius had given a phoenix feather to Reincarnates, which saved him from the mysterious woman's attack. Unfortunately, all the other party members, including Julius, did not survive. Back in the present, Reincarnates is now determined to protect Shun and help him become the next hero. On the other hand, Komoko realizes that her power is still far inferior to that of the Earth Dragon Araba. Because of this, Komoko decides to level up first by fighting a swarm of bee monsters. During the battle, Komoko uses the dimensional movement skill to reach the bees and also employs black spear magic to annihilate them. With this, Komoko easily wipes out the bee nest. Komoko's next battle is against the Earth Dragon Araba. She fights in the air using the dimensional movement skill because, as the name suggests, the Earth Dragon Araba is highly skilled in earth magic, making it extremely dangerous for her to fight on the ground. During the battle, Araba chases Komoko using its own dimensional movement skill. In response, Komoko fires hundreds of black spears at Araba. Unfortunately, none of these attacks have any effect, so Komoko resorts to using her poison against Araba. But, as before, Komoko's attacks have little impact. Araba even counters with a fire breath attack against her. After that, Komoko manages to trap Araba with her web. Because of this, Komoko immediately unleashes all the magic she has. However, in the end, Araba breaks free from the web. Araba even uses all its skill points to purchase several new skills, and with this, Araba successfully corners Komoko. Araba also manages to pierce Komoko with its earth magic. On the other hand, Komoko sacrifices both of her eyes to use the Annihilation Evil Eye, allowing her to escape from Araba. However, Araba bites Komoko, worsening her injuries. Fortunately, Komoko is still able to break free using her decay attack. Due to her injuries, Komoko momentarily considers giving up, but she pushes herself to keep fighting. Komoko once again uses the Annihilation Evil Eye on Araba, which finally defeats the Earth Dragon Araba. At the same time, although defeated, Araba seems satisfied with the battle before finally dying. From that battle, Komoko levels up to level 29, so she decides to leave the Elro Labyrinth. However, near the exit, Komoko is attacked by humans guarding the entrance to the labyrinth. As a result, she swiftly eliminates them. On the other hand, Shun and other members of his family are seen attending a meeting with the head of the elf tribe. The leader of the elf tribe, named Potamus, arrives with Oka-chan. In this meeting, they discuss the war against the demon race and how to deal with the current demon king. Back to Komoko, who receives a message from Queen Teratect. Apparently, Queen Teratect orders Komoko to return to the labyrinth, but she immediately refuses the Queen Teratect's request. Because of this, Queen Teratect becomes angry with Komoko and sends her other children to attack her. Knowing this, Komoko manages to eliminate all the troops sent and leaves only one Arcteratect and 3 Greater Teratects. Eventually, Komoko traps them in her web. From there, Komoko teleports them into the lava in the middle Elro Labyrinth, thus wiping them all out. After that, Komoko sends her 3 parallel mines into Queen Teratect's mind, where they attack Queen Teratect's astral body. On the other hand, while walking, Komoko sees a horse-drawn carriage being attacked by bandits. Because of this, Komoko decides to help defeat the bandits. She even heals the injured guards of the carriage. When Komoko sees the baby carried by the carriage owner, she realizes that the baby is a vampire and that the baby has 2 names, Nagishi Shuko and Sophia Karen. Komoko then concludes that the baby is also someone who has reincarnated before deciding to leave the place. However, Komoko accidentally encounters a group of elves who intend to take the baby, so she eliminates them. Meanwhile, Shun and Su go to meet their father, the king. Unexpectedly, Su kills the king and immediately frames Shun as the culprit. It turns out Su did this because she had been brainwashed by Hugo. Additionally, Hugo has been working with one of Su's older brothers, Prince Silas. Together, they plan to kill Shun, but he manages to escape with the help of Oka-chan and the others. That night, Shun's group is found by Kadia and some soldiers. It turns out that Kadia has also been brainwashed by Hugo. But while they are fighting, her consciousness temporarily returns. At that moment, Katia decides to hurt herself so that she cannot harm Shun and the others. Seeing this, Shun heals Katia with his magic, successfully restoring her consciousness to normal. Additionally, they are joined by a woman named Sophia, who turns out to be the baby previously saved by Komoko. At that moment, Sophia is seen carrying the head of Potamus, whom she has killed. Sophia also manages to corner Shun and the others, but fortunately, Faye arrives at the scene after just completing her evolution and quickly takes Shun and the others away from there. Back to Komoko, who manages to gnaw away at Queen Teratek's astral body with her parallel minds. Shortly after, Queen Teratek fires an attack upwards, allowing her to escape from the labyrinth. Moreover, Queen Teratek successfully traps Komoko's 3 parallel minds within her mind, preventing them from communicating with Komoko's main body. After that, Queen Teratek approaches Komoko's main body, causing Komoko to flee by teleporting into the Elro labyrinth. But there, several Arc Teratekts and Queen Teratek spider troops are already present, severely injuring her. Eventually, Komoko tries to escape to the middle floor of the Elro labyrinth, but she is intercepted by a puppet Teratect. Komoko becomes increasingly cornered, but still fights back until she finally manages to kill one of the Arc Teratekts and levels up. With that, all the wounds on her body are healed, and she grabs an Arc Teratect and escapes to the middle floor. After killing the Arc Teratect, Komoko is able to evolve, and she decides to evolve into Zana Horowa. After successfully evolving, Komoko acquires the immortality skill, which makes her unable to die. Additionally, Komoko gains several other skills. Shortly after that, Komoko receives a call from Administrator D, who explains the reason why Komoko and the others were sent to that world. It turned out, their reincarnation was caused by the previous hero and demon leader, who used dimensional magic to escape the boundaries of their world. However, the magic became uncontrollable and ultimately killed Komoko and the others. In the end, it was Administrator who sent Komoko's and the others' souls to another world. As the result, all of Komoko's other classmates reincarnated as babies and gradually grew into adults. However, it was different for Komoko, who from birth rapidly developed and evolved to her current state. From this explanation, it becomes clear that the events experienced by Shun and Komoko are happening in very different time periods. Komoko's story might be occurring in the past, while Shun's story is happening in the future. At that time, Administrator also reveals that she is actually one of Komoko's classmates, but she does not reveal her identity. Back to the future, where Shun and his group plan to cross the Elro labyrinth to reach the elf village to seek help from a man named Basketh. At the same time, Faye can now transform into a human form. In short, Shun and the others decide to enter the Elro labyrinth through an underwater entrance. However, as they enter the sea, they are immediately attacked by a water dragon. Fortunately, with Faye's help, they manage to escape into the Elro labyrinth. Back to the past, where Komoko has successfully wiped out Queen Teratek's minions, including the spider puppets. But while relaxing by the sea, Komoko is approached by the current leader of the demon race, named Ariel, who turns out to be an origin Teratect who can easily defeat Komoko. Back to the future, where Shun and the others continue exploring the Elro labyrinth. There, they fight against an earth dragon, but all of Shun's and the others' attacks have no effect on the dragon. However, with Faye's help, they manage to defeat the dragon. After that, they encounter some shadows of spider monsters. But these spider monsters say some strange things, including mentions of reincarnation and that the world will end. After saying this, the spider monsters leave. One night, Shun has a strange dream, the second time he has had such a dream since entering the labyrinth. Shortly afterward, Shun and the others manage to escape the labyrinth by riding on Faye. Back to the past, Komoko somehow survives Ariel's attack, all thanks to her Diana's shield and auto-recovery skills. Fortunately, Ariel did not use Hellfire magic, because if she had, it would have still annihilated Komoko, even though she has the immortality skill. In short, Komoko manages to recover her body, and afterward, she spots the carriage she previously saved. Unfortunately, they are still being chased by some bandits, and that night, the bandits attempt to kidnap Sophia, but Komoko is able to stop the bandits with ease. Sometime later, a woman came to Komoko asking for help because her son had liver cancer. Unexpectedly, Komoko was able to cure the boy's illness, which led many villagers to come to her seeking help. From that point on, the villagers began to regard Komoko as a divine creature. Back to the future, Shun and the others successfully reach the elf village, but the villagers there forbid humans from entering the village. Fortunately, Potamus helps them, having survived Sophia's previous attack. In short, Shun and the others are taken to where the other reincarnations are. Inside, they meet Shun's former classmates from their past life, but these students seem distant from Oka-chan. That night, the students reveal that they were kidnapped by Oka-chan and that they all feel like they are being held captive in the elf village. This is why they do not trust her or the elves. Back to the past, Sophia's parents are visited by Potamus, the leader of the elves, who is targeting Sophia. At that time, Potamus claims he came to see the divine creature, but in reality, he came to see Sophia. On the other hand, Komoko realizes that Queen Teratech's status has drastically decreased, all thanks to the hard work of her 3 parallel minds. Realizing this, Komoko then teleports to the Elro labyrinth. However, Queen Teratech has already set a trap for her there, which causes Komoko to become even more cornered. Fortunately, Komoko's 2 parallel minds finally return. While they were consuming Queen Teratech's astral body, they also managed to absorb power from Queen Teratech. When they returned to Komoko's body, the power they absorbed transferred to Komoko, making her even stronger. With this, Komoko easily defeats Queen Teratech. However, another problem arises as one of Komoko's consciousnesses decides to go to the Demon King's location with the intention of attacking the Demon King. After defeating Queen Teratech, Komoko then returns to Sophia's location in the country of Sariella. At that place, Komoko is still regarded as a divine creature. Eventually, she is visited by an official envoy from the Kingdom of Oats, which turns out to be the kingdom where the Elro labyrinth is located. In other words, the Kingdom of Oats is Komoko's birthplace. At that time, the envoy declared that Komoko was the property of the Kingdom of Oats. Therefore, the envoy attempted to force Komoko to return to the Kingdom of Oats. But, of course, Komoko refused the envoy's command and immediately left the place. Shortly afterward, Komoko was visited by Black, whose real name is Gillidistides. It turns out that Black is an administrator similar to Administrator D who had previously contacted Komoko. Black then asked Komoko to stop attacking Ariel, but she explained that she couldn't do that because the one attacking her was not Komoko herself, but her other consciousness, the body controller, who could not be contacted at that moment. Hearing this, Black realized there was nothing he could do, so he left Komoko. Not long after that, Komoko was attacked by the subordinates of the previous envoy. This made Komoko furious, and she immediately killed the envoy and his subordinates. Unbeknownst to Komoko, her actions triggered a war between the Kingdom of Oats and Sariella, because the envoy sent by the Kingdom of Oats died in Sariella. Due to this incident, the Kingdom of Oats immediately sent its soldiers to the country of Sariella. They were even supported by several other kingdoms, which significantly increased the Kingdom of Oats' combat power, switching to Oka-chan, who, upon reincarnation, received a unique skill called Student Roster. With this skill, Oka-chan can know the past, present, and even future of her students, including when and how they will die. However, Oka-chan, who was still a baby at the time, couldn't do anything to prevent her beloved students from dying. As a result, Oka-chan used telepathy to ask for help from Potamus. From there, they began searching for and gathering the reincarnated students. In the future, Shun and the others are seen patrolling the elf village to inspect the barrier protecting the village. Upon inspection, it turns out that the village is surrounded by a barrier created by the elves, making it nearly impossible for outsiders to penetrate it. As is known, Hugo is targeting Shun's life, and the possibility that he will come and attack the elf village to kill Shun certainly exists. However, the elves say that it is impossible for Hugo's group to break through the barrier because it is extremely strong. Nevertheless, Shun and the others believe that Hugo might still find a way to breach the barrier. A few days later, a man named Kusama, who is also a reincarnated person like Shun and the others, appeared. But it turns out that he is part of Hugo's group, along with Sophia and the others. At that time, Kusama successfully infiltrated the elf village and detonated the teleportation circle there, preventing the villagers from escaping the village. Shortly after that, a woman named Shiro managed to destroy the barrier surrounding the elf village. It was revealed that Shiro is actually Komoko in the future, where Shun and his group reside. Komoko is now called Shirari or Shiro. At that time, Hugo's group was battling the soldiers of the elf village, while Hugo himself fought against Oka-chan, eventually overwhelming her. He managed to do this because Hugo now possesses a skill called greed, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. With the greed skill, Hugo can steal power from the people he intends to kill, which is why he has become so powerful. Furthermore, Hugo also received assistance from Sophia, which allowed them to defeat Oka-chan easily. Shortly after that, Shun and the others arrived to help Oka-chan. At that moment, Shun fought one-on-one against Hugo and was able to defeat him easily. After that, Shun continued to fight against Sophia, but her power was on a completely different level, as she could easily defeated Shun. Seeing this, Shun's friends also joined the fight against Sophia, but in the end, they were also defeated with. Afterward, Faye declared that they had surrendered and asked Sophia to spare the lives of Shun and the others. In fact, Sophia agreed to let Shun and the others live, but because Shun refused to give up, he still wanted to continue fighting against her. Not long after, a man named Wrath or Kyuya, who was also a reincarnated person and a former close friend of Shun, arrived. Seeing this, Shun asked why Kyuya sided with the Demon King and the administrators. Kyuya explained that the real threat to the world was not the Demon King or the administrators, but the elves. That's why the Demon King's group, including Kyuya, intended to kill the elves present there. However, Shun did not believe Kyuya's words. Fortunately, reinforcements from the elves finally arrived, using some sort of mechanical robots to fight against Sophia and Kyuya. However, in the end, the elves and their machines were easily defeated. Even there, Shun's servant Anna tried to protect him, which ultimately led to her being severely injured. Seeing this, Shun used the compassion skill to heal Anna, which in turn caused his taboo skill to level up to 10, the maximum level. With that, all the information about the truth of this world flooded into his mind, just like when Komoko previously maximized her own taboo skill. Back to the past, where Komoko was seen near the soldiers of the Kingdom of Oats, who were at war with the soldiers of Sariella. At that time, Komoko sided with the Sariella forces and massacred the soldiers of the Kingdom of Oats. As a result, Komoko managed to level up. But shortly after, Ariel came to where she was and attacked her. Naturally, Komoko was overwhelmed by Ariel's attacks, as she even used magic to kill Komoko. Fortunately, Komoko had prepared several eggs in the Elro labyrinth. With this, her body was able to resurrect from one of those eggs. When Komoko was able to evolve again, she immediately evolved into an arachne. As a result, Komoko's body became half human and half spider. Her appearance now closely resembled what she looked like when she was still on Earth. Not long after, all the eggs Komoko had prepared had already hatched, meaning that if she were to be attacked by Ariel again, Komoko would no longer be able to revive and would die permanently. On the other hand, Sophia's parents ordered Marizophis to take their daughter to a safe place. However, during their journey, they were attacked by several elves, nearly resulting in their deaths. At that moment, Sophia bit Marizophis, turning him into a vampire. This caused Marizophis's power to increase dramatically, allowing him to easily kill the elves pursuing them. Unfortunately, they were also confronted by Potamus, the leader of the elves. Potamus possessed extraordinary power, far beyond that of Marizophis. Fortunately, Komoko arrived and helped fight against Potamus. During their battle, it was revealed that Potamus's body was actually a robot, meaning that the Potamus they were fighting was not his real body. In short, Komoko was overwhelmed by Potamus. Then Ariel arrived at their location. Strangely, Ariel's personality had become very different. It turns out this change was due to Komoko's other consciousness, the body controller, which had started merging with her soul, causing Ariel's personality and way of thinking to start aligning with Komoko's. Shortly after, Ariel was able to destroy Potamus's robot with ease. After everything was over, Ariel proposed a ceasefire to Komoko, and of course, she accepted the ceasefire. From that point on, Komoko and Sophia began working together with Ariel to defeat Potamus's true body. Potamus was the greatest threat that could endanger the entire world, so they needed to cooperate. Moral lesson from the story: even if you start as a spider, remember that biting off more than you can chew might just give you new skills. And remember, sometimes it's better to run from angry dragons than to try impressing them with your web weaving skills, especially if your web tends to catch on fire.